Bye. Adwit, check your email. You should have gotten the Vin stuff. Adwit? Uh, are you there? Adwit, are you there? Hello.
Hey Ansh, how many people are we expecting today?
Around the same age yesterday, 130 or so. Why?
You
Uh,
there?
yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Unlucky.
Uh, hello?
Oh wait, frick, my audio. One sec. Wait, could you say that again?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Okay,
Hello?
sounds good.
Okay. Wait, yeah, you can hear me, right?
Wait, say that again?
You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. My audio
Okay.
wasn't working.
Yeah, what was your question?
How many people are we expecting? Like more people today, or
Around the same, 130 to 150.
okay?
Yeah. You got the presentation, right?
For
In your
who?
email?
Vince?
Yeah.
Uh,
Check your email.
yeah, I got it.
And I think the thing is because the Kahoot will include Vince's questions, you probably have to do the Kahoot at the very end, right?
Okay, so you want one Kahoot only, or do we want two Kahoots separately? Like,
Oh, okay, I see. Um, did you get 15 questions on your Kahoot?
no, I have like 10, so I can do like 5 questions from Vince's Kahoot then.
Yeah, but that means that you have to stay for the full 2 hours. I know you're busy. You could
I mean, I can just like AFK till the end, right?
no, but like if you are to incorporate some of the stuff that he's saying, right?
No, I'll just do it based off his presentation.
Yeah, let me see his presentation.
It's pretty wordy, so I'd assume that it has most of the stuff.
Okay, okay, then it's fine.
I mean, honestly, on this kind of presentation, I think like all of the project ideas I probably wouldn't include. The only thing I'll put like the how to brainstorm, how to execute, that sort of stuff.
Okay, this is being live streamed, so you're giving them an unfair advantage. It's okay. It's fine. Yeah,
That's
that makes sense. Yeah. Okay,
okay.
cool.
Okay.
All right.
Give me a sec. Let me get ready.
I'll guess I'll start letting some people in, or I'll guess I'll start letting everybody in. Hello, everybody. I think we have to do the screenshot thing again, but like one time, and then after that, we'll be good. Yeah, every day, like after a workshop, like they make a collage of everything that we did. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. That's why we kind of asked for the screenshots. Good afternoon. I think there's one guy from India, and he said that he's doing the hackathon overnight, and I was like, wow, that's some dedication to stay up all night. But it's pretty cool. Hello. Uh, okay, so I think it's 12 now. If everybody could just turn on their camera for a few minutes so we could get a screenshot. And then yeah, and then we'll go right back to kind of just focusing on the workshops. Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. So if everybody could smile. Oh, wait, hold up. Sorry. Um, okay, there we go. Now we're good. Adwit, you were the only one not smiling. Uh,
Unlucky.
yeah. Okay. All right. There we go. Okay. So I got the screenshot. We're good with that. All right. So let me just go ahead and kind of screen share the schedule for everybody. And then after that, we'll get right into the workshop. So I hope you're enjoying yourself. I hope that you kind of enjoyed yourself doing the homework last night and just kind of making sure that you were able to, use some of the basic HTML elements. So once again, so today we're going to have two main things. So firstly, we're going to be having an HTML session with Adwit. And so this is for all the beginner coders, as well as an ideation brainstorm with one of the NetScout employees. And yeah, so he'll be also joining us today. And his name is Vince, the person who is kind of presenting from 4 to 5. So so we'll be having two main things, and at the end of both Adwit and Vince's presentations, there will be a Kahoot where once again you can win a $10 gift card. Make sure that you stay tuned for that. I think the other thing to note is that we are having a small website competition. So Adwit, do you want to present a little bit about that and just kind of inform people about what that is?
Yeah, so if you guys were here yesterday, you remember that we gave out a small optional homework assignment to create a website about you or related to you. So we've slightly modified that. So yesterday I gave you guys a Google Doc with the general guidelines. So based on the HTML session today, and I believe we will be having a CSS session next week, based on that information that you learn, we ask that you take the website that you created yesterday and you improve it or change it or add stuff to it. And the general theme should still be, it should be a website about you. Don't make it about something random. You can make it about a hobby you enjoy, about anything as long as it's related to you in some way. And next Monday, which is, I believe, it is May 3rd, we will have you guys actually submit those through a Google form. Like you can give the link to us, and then I believe we'll judge them based on skill level or something else. And the best website for each category, or just the best website overall, will get a $10 gift card. So don't worry about submitting them right now. We'll get to that later. Okay, so if you guys didn't do your code in REPL.it, most likely what we'll ask is you take your code that you did on Notepad or VS Code and you copy it over to REPL, or you upload it to GitHub. Either way, if you know how to do GitHub, you can upload it to GitHub. If not, please copy paste it into REPL. So it's easier for us to like look at the link, because it'll be much more complicated for you guys to like send us the code, because then we have to like run it, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good rundown of what's going to happen. So if there's no further questions just about this stuff, then yeah, I think we'll get started with Adit presenting. I think just before Vince presents, I'll also be announcing just one really small thing about how to nickname yourself on Discord. So if you already know how to do this, please make sure that you nickname yourself on Discord to your actual name. And so that's actually going to help us, figure out who's who. So yeah, just nickname yourself to your first and last name in Discord, so that we can identify who you are. But yeah, I'll cover that again later on if you don't know how to do that.
Sophia, you had a question?
Let me ask her to unmute.
Okay,
Yeah.
so since we're learning CSS today, is there going to be a specific assignment for like add-on specific things you have to do in CSS in the project?
Okay, so today we're covering mostly HTML with a bit of CSS, and then only more advanced CSS next week. So there's no specific assignment, but basically, I mean, I can send a Google Doc with like more guidelines, but basically we're covering a few different topics today. So like, for example, we're covering how to add a navigation bar to your website. So that's probably something you would want to incorporate into the website that we did yesterday. So it's not like a new assignment, you're just adding on to the one you made yesterday. Any other questions? Okay, I think we can get started then, Ansh. Let me share my screen then. Okay, so once again, you guys can probably just open up the REPL that you made yesterday and just add on to that. So if there's no questions, I think we'll just basically jump right in. So The very first topic will be somebody sent something in chat for the instructor. For the actual hackathon, if you're building a website, we're recommending REPL.it because you can actually add collaborators. Like you can, if your whole group makes an account on REPL.it, each person will have access to that one repo. Like you can share it so everybody can work on it at the same time.
Yeah, it's like a Google Docs. Like you can like collaborate live. Yeah, the main reason we're doing that, if you know what GitHub is a little bit more complicated. So that's why we're recommending REPL just to keep things more simple. And REPL.it isn't like kind of restricted only to HTML, CSS, and JS. If you're making something in Python or something, you can still actually use REPL. You can just search it up online how to do it. But yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we would recommend using. Of course, if you guys know how to use GitHub or you know how to use something else, you're free to use it. There's no restriction on that. It's just REPL is the easiest. Okay, so yesterday we discussed some basic color, right? So how to add color to your text or how to add background color. So now we're going to go into a bit more advanced color. So again, all of this stuff, I call it advanced, but it's really not that advanced, right? All of this stuff is still pretty basic. Right. So the very first thing, we can set color in 3 different ways, right? We can set the background of something to a certain color. We can set the text itself to a certain color. And then we can also create a border around that text, right? So imagine like a box around that text. And this color can be set using 3 different things. We can use a name, as you see here, just the color red. We can use RGB values, or we can use hex values. So first, let's see how this actually looks. Right. So let's see how this looks, right? So background color, let's say we want to do this. We can go here. So this is basically the same web page we made yesterday. I've just changed it slightly. And again, remember how these are attributes. So we'll be putting them inside inside the starting of the tag, right? So we can just put here. And we can say, I believe that works, right? One sec. Let me figure this out.
You put it in an H1 element. That's why. Put it in a body or something.
Body?
And you also left behind a quote, so that might mess it up.
Oh, that is probably why.
And then in H1 as well, you left behind a quote. There we go. Uh-oh. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be lowercase r for red.
I don't think that's the issue. See?
Yeah.
Oh, give me 1 second. Let me figure out. It's probably syntax.
Uh, yeah, I think Advait, yeah, people are getting a little bit confused about like yesterday you kind of said BG color and today you're saying style. Do you want to go ahead and elaborate on that?
Okay. Yeah. 1 second. Let me just figure out this. Oh, the quotation marks are wrong. Okay, so actually, sorry, my bad. This is actually not called, this is not attribute, this is style, right? So if you see, we said style equal to, so this style is actually part of CSS. So CSS stands for cascading style sheets, and it's a way that we can edit our, in a sense, a way that we can style our HTML code to make it look nicer, right? So actually, I think the only issue was that these quotation marks were typed in like Google Docs. So when I copy pasted it over, it didn't work. But if we use these ones now, it should work, right? We can actually delete this, right? So just style is equal to quote. Remember, for style, everything has to be in quotations. And at the end of each like style element, in a sense, we're putting a semicolon to separate them, right? So if we run this, we now notice that it created, for the background for this one header, it makes a red, right? Similarly, if we want to make this text red, I believe this also works. So if we notice now, only for this bolded text, the background ends up being red, right? Similarly, if we want to, wait, you can see the share, right?
Yeah, we can see the share.
Okay, you can see the share. Okay, so similarly, if we want the text, instead, we're going to use color instead of background color, right? So if we just go here and we change this to color and we run that, now in 1 second, wait for it to load. Okay, so now if you notice, instead of making the background red, it makes the text itself red, right? And lastly, we can make the border. So border instead of color, we use the style element border, right? So we can just say border. And for border, we have to define how thick we want the border to be. So we want the border to be 2 pixels, right? So border 2px. And then we also want the border, you can make the border like dotted, solid, etc. So we want our border to be solid. And then we also want our borders to be red, right? So now if we run this, you'll notice that we have a border around our text. Questions, attention you to have?
Yeah, so I think just kind of giving a little bit more background as to what like style is. So style is essentially like a way to kind of change your whatever element you have in like a custom way, right? And it has its own like little syntax of its own. So you can see that what we're doing is that we have a property, right? We have a property and a value. So think about it as that, like it's kind of having like a key and a value, right? So the key could be background color, or it could be regular color, or it could be, I think, what's some other ones, like font size or something like that. Like you can have tons and tons of like different style like elements, and like you can set them to like specific values. What would you do if you want the border to go all the way across the screen? Well, then you would kind of put a border element on the body. So if you want like a border around the whole screen, then you can put a border element on the body if you want to show that. Or yeah. So border 2px. Yeah.
So
There you go.
as Ansh said, if you now notice, we have a red border around our whole web page. Actually, let me open this up in a separate
Sophia,
page
you had a
so we
question?
can see.
I just, yeah.
Yeah, so what if you wanted the border to be around so around that text, but like further across so it reaches the end as well and not just like only covers the text?
Oh, that's a good question.
I believe,
I think I know how to do it, but it's a little complicated.
Would you change the width or something?
Yeah, you would change the width. Yeah. So yeah, you
I
would
think
change the
that's
width.
just
So
more
right now,
CSS, right?
yeah. So if you go to H1, yeah. So she asked, I want to change the border of the hi, this is bolded text, but I wanted to make it like so that it like wraps around the whole line and not just, yeah. So you have to set width to 100%. So right now so that the whole text element incorporates the whole, that didn't do anything.
I don't know if it works on just this, like, since it's just bolded text, no? It might not work.
Yeah.
There probably is a way to do it.
I think
Oh wait,
it
actually, it
doesn't
might be
work because
semicolon.
it's after the semicolon. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be semicolon.
So it has to be like there's a semicolon before that.
No,
Like the red.
Oh no, that's supposed to be there.
Yeah,
That's just
pretty
the
sure.
like for every property, yeah, you just kind
Well,
of separate it by a semicolon. Can you try 100 VW?
100 what?
100 VW. So yeah,
That?
VW. Yeah. Okay,
Let's
that
just
didn't
try
work either.
this.
No. Oh, I think.
I'm not sure you can do it for like bolded text.
Okay.
Like, for example, I think if we
I'm
did
sure
it
there
for
is
my
a way,
web
but
page,
yeah, I'm sure there's a way for these sort of things. Like you just kind of Google it, and you eventually figure it out through like a little bit of like playing around. But yeah, eventually you'll find an answer that kind of helps you. Soiled. You said soiled, right? But yeah, solid.
see, so this one does go. I think it just depends on the element. Like for this text, I don't think there's any way to make it go all the way across unless, like, for example, we centered the text. Probably if we do, actually, that probably wouldn't work either. But yeah, so I think it just depends on the kind of element. Like for example, for the heading already goes all the way across, so it works. But for the text, since the text is just this part, so we can't make it go all the way across. Yes, you could put in a division, add the style, put in a bold tag. Yeah, so since we put in the bold tag, that's probably why it only wrapped around the bolded text. So that's probably why it didn't go across the whole width. So even if we put width 100%, technically this is width 100%. So that's probably why. So it just takes, I think it just takes a bit of like messing around with and a bit of Googling. Yeah. Okay. So next thing. So you guys notice how here we did red. So of course, red isn't very specific, right? There's like an infinite number of shades of red, and we might not like this shade. So in HTML, you can actually refer to color in 4 different ways. And here we're going to talk about 3 of them, right? The 4th one isn't really necessary. So first and foremost, you can refer to them by just the name of the color, right? So as we use red, blue, green, etc., they also have a lot of like other ones like, burgundy or specific colors. You can refer to by RGB. So as some of you may know, RGB stands for red, green, blue. And each, you put 3 numbers from 0 to 255. So each of these represents, in a sense, a degree, right? So 255 is all red, 0 is no red, right? So if we put 0, 0, 0, that's none of any color. And I believe is that white or is that black?
That's black.
That's
It's
black.
black. Yeah, so if you just don't have any color, it's black. But if you have 255, 255, 255, it's white. Like if you guys know, like if I mix all of the colors together on like a paint, right? Like when you're painting, then like it creates white, like all of the rainbow colors. So, but like if I don't have any of the
Mine's
3,
just the other way. Paint and light are different. If you mix
no,
all the
so
colors with paint, it's the
no,
opposite.
0, 0, 0, 0, I know for sure is black.
Straight and dotted. I'm actually not sure for the exact syntax for that.
I think it is dotted for border. If you want to try that, yeah, it's dotted.
Okay, there you go. So that's dotted. Again, this is stuff that you can Google. If you just Google, for example, HTML border documentation, right? You get some CSS documentation. So you have solid, dashed, etc., thick double, right, ridge. These all give you different kinds of borders that you can make, right? So this is just stuff you can Google. Like we didn't really want to go over all of it, right? Okay, so going back to the colors. Actually, I'm just not going to even going to present because I kind of want to switch back and forth. So this lets you choose, in a sense, the exact color that you want, right? Because if you do 255.00, you'll get red. If you do 0.255.0, you'll get green. And if you do 0.0.255, you'll get blue. But you can pick any number from 0 to 255 for for all 3 of these. So you can get like the exact color combination that you want. And of course, usually you won't do this by hand. Usually you'll do it using an online picker. So if you just Google RGB picker, we can go into here, right? You can use any website. So let's say I really like this shade of blue. So I'll click this shade and it'll tell me that this is 13 red, 110 green, and 255 blue, right? So I could just take this, I could copy paste it in, and I believe it's done like this. So if we do, one sec. Background color, and here if I instead put RGB, I'll just put a random number 5, and then we run this. We instead get this exact, or it's not this exact because I use different numbers, but we can make it the exact shade of color that we want. Similarly, we can do this using hex code. So hex code is also like RGB, but instead it uses hexadecimal numbers. So if you notice for RGB, we have 3 digits, 3 digits, 3 digits. Hexadecimal numbers, if you guys, I don't know what level of math all of you guys are at, but so these are basically base 10 number. We probably shouldn't worry about that right now, but just know that these are hexadecimal numbers. So this allows us to represent red, green, and blue using 2 digits only. So it's slightly simpler. And similarly, we can Google a hex code picker. This actually might just be the same website. Okay, so instead now we have a hex code picker, right? So again, we can pick like, let's say red, this shade of red, and now this tells us what our hex code is, right? It's EE3315. So similarly, what we can now do is we can change this to be hashtag EE333315. And now if we run that, we'll get our exact shade of red we want. So this is just a way you can customize your color selection a bit. You can pick the exact color you want, right? And also, I'll send this presentation out to you guys. I've also included a link to W3 Schools for all of the topics that we're covering today. So that way you can refer to this, right? So this just repeats the information that I gave you guys. It adds some extra documentation, right? So you can see this. And we'll go into like using W3 Schools like later, but this also gives you, like, for example, if you just want to use names, this gives you all the names for all the colors. It also provides hex code, etc. Okay, next, image usage. So yesterday, if you guys read through the assignment page, we did ask you guys to use images, but we didn't actually teach you how to use them. So that was a small like kind of test to see if you guys had the ability to Google for yourselves or watch like a YouTube tutorial on how to implement images. So chat. Could you say like D40000? Yeah, sure. So we can try that actually. If we just go here and we put D40000. So that gives us red because, again, the first two letters represent red, the second two represent green, and the second two represent blue. So since we have only red, it's going to be a shade of red. Okay, is the assignment page? Yes, the assignment page is on Discord. It's posted under the resources page, I believe. Okay, right. So going back. So the image tag. So the image tag is another one of those tags that has no closing tag. The image tag in itself is just a standalone tag, right? So of course, it's kind of self-explanatory. IMG stands for image, so that's why it's called that. And the format is shown here, right? So we're going to put image, and then we're going to define the SRC. So as I'm said, this is like a property, and we're setting it equal to picture name.jpg. So this should be the name of your picture, right? This is, of course, a placeholder. Whatever the name of your picture is, that's what it's going to be set to. And then we also have to define an alt. So alt, we'll talk about alt in a second, right? So SRC, of course, stands for source, and then alt stands for alternate. So if you guys have noticed, sometimes when a web page doesn't load, sometimes what it'll do instead, it'll give you some words instead of an image, right? So sometimes when you have a slow internet connection or maybe a laggy, the web page itself is pretty laggy, there's not enough bandwidth for the computer to even load the image. So instead, it'll use the alt to describe the image to you. That's why this is so important. So if I put a picture of, let's say, a circle, then I want to type alt circle so that if for whatever reason the image doesn't show up, people at least know what the image is, right? People are trying stuff. Discord invite. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about how you would actually implement this, right? So let's copy this over into here. We can just put this right here. And I'll fix the quotes this time. Okay, so if I just run this as it is, you'll notice that we get this small symbol. And you see how we get the words name of pic. So this is, of course, our alt. And the reason we got this is because there is no, if you notice here, these are the files that are available to REPL. There is no picture name.jpg, so it was unable to load it. But now, for example, let's say we do want to load an actual image. So let's search up cool backgrounds. Go to images. And let's say I think this looks pretty cool, right? So I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to click copy image address, right? So that gets me the link to the image. And now what I can do is I can just paste this here, right? So now the source is this link. And now if I run it, you'll notice it's a bit hard to see. So I'll open the actual page. You'll notice that on the page, we have our image, right? So if, for example, you created a logo for your website or for your product, you can upload an image onto it. Okay. And then another way to do this is you can just click here and you can click upload file. I think I have a file on here. Okay, So for example, on my desktop, I have a file, it's called cool. So I search it, I select it, and I uploaded it. And now if you notice, there's a file called cool.jfif. So that's another image extension. So here I can just replace the source with cool.jfif. And now if I run this,
I don't think
no,
JFIF is supported. Do you have another like with like a PNG or JPG or something?
I ran it before and it was supported, which is why I'm confused. It's fine. But okay, one sec. Here, let me try this.
Try dot slash the beginning. No, yeah, I think try with the PNG or JPG.
Yeah, okay. Let me do
Okay,
that. One sec.
yeah, yeah, there is a way to edit the width and the height of an image. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll cover that in a second. Let me just save it as JPG. Okay. So upload file. I believe this one is JPG. Okay, so instead now we have cool.jpg. That should work. Still not working. Okay, I don't know. It's working. It's not working. But normally this would work. You guys can test on your own. Maybe it's just not working on my computer, but you can put source cool.jpg as long as you upload it. If not, you can just use a link.
So wait, try one thing. Just reload the page.
Like
Yeah, just like reload the whole REPL because sometimes REPL it's like a little weird. I might have not
I
even
tested it
detected that.
today, like an hour ago, and it was fine.
Yeah, this always happens with code.
It's probably just some small syntax. Let me just
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, see, look, failed to connect, retrying. Sometimes it does that stuff, and so.
Yeah, guys. I think I have formatting image like on the next slide. Let's see if we can get this to work. Hmm. Yeah, it should work. Image SRC owns. There's.
Oh,
I don't think.
look at the left-hand side. It never detected that you even dropped it in.
What do you mean?
There's no cool.jpg.
Oh, it did
Yeah,
not save. That is weird.
yeah. So that's what I was kind of saying. Like sometimes it
Okay,
just
okay,
like
now it's
yeah.
loading. Okay,
Okay,
I
now
see.
it should. Yeah. There we
Okay,
go.
there we
See,
go.
yeah. So sometimes REPL is just weird. Like it just kind of like it doesn't like sometimes detect that you even dragged and dropped it in. And so you just reload the page or something and it should work.
Okay.
Even with JFIF,
Oh,
it should
and
work.
then if you notice, it does actually work for JFIF. Right. And then we can actually open this up. And here you go. You have the image. So of course, this image is huge, right? Like, who needs this big of an image on their web page? It's bigger than our text. It's bigger than everything. So that's why we can now format it. And again, this is going back into CSS or cascading style sheets. So again, we're going to put this inside the tag of the image, right? So we can put it right after this stuff. And we're going to specify the style, right? So we want, for example, let's say we want it to be 500 pixels wide and 500 pixels tall. So we're going to put this in here. Fix the quotations, right? So that's another issue with copy pasting code. So if you guys notice, like when I type a quotation here and I type it here, because of the difference in font, it doesn't, REPL doesn't actually detect it to be a quote. So sometimes if you're copy pasting, like for whatever reason, if you wrote code in Google Docs and you copy paste it over, sometimes it won't work. So that's why it's usually better to like retype it. And now if we notice, our image is actually shrunk. Now, of course, the issue with this is the formatting is messed up. So usually what you'll want to do is if you see here, it tells us that for this image, for example, is 1920 by 1080 pixels, right? So you usually want to keep those dimensions. So for example, like if you wanted to half the size of this image, you would make it 960 by 540. So I can actually show you guys that.
Yeah, this is why math comes in useful in coding. I mean, it's very basic, but like
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm pretty sure we can just do divide. We can just do this, right? Like for example.
No,
I
no,
think this-
don't do weird stuff.
Yeah, I think that works.
Yeah, you have to like you have to like put some calc stuff. So
Versus
like you have to like put like a calc thing around it. So
1920 divided by 2. Let me just try it. 1080.
it won't work. Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah,
that's
you can try.
okay.
Yeah,
It
it
didn't
won't.
work.
Yeah.
Unlucky. Wait.
Yeah,
Is this
just do the 960
Yeah, I'll do
by.
it. One sec. Is the other image. So how much is that? 960, right? 960 by 540, I think. So if we run that, we'll notice if I open up this web page, it's still massive. Let's divide by 2 again. 480 by...
I think Jordan has a question.
Go ahead. You can ask it while I'm figuring this out.
And I accidentally put it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just not resizing. Punch.
Okay.
Is
First
this
of all,
syntax
don't
wrong?
put a
Oh,
space between
maybe?
480 and PX. So yeah, don't put a space
Well,
between
there's no
480.
space. You mean
No,
here?
between 480 and PX.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah.
It actually might have
And
been
then
a
the other
semicolon.
thing is that it was
a
there we go.
semicolon. Okay, so that's the importance of syntax. If you miss even like, for example, the single semicolon, it just, oh wait, actually, oh, it was the space with between PX. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
But if you miss like a small amount of syntax, it just won't work, right? So if you notice now this image is smaller, but at the same time, it's also still the same dimensions. Another cool thing we can actually do is, for example, if we just want to fill the web page, right? I believe filling the web page would be this. If we just do 100%. And now we run it, and you'll notice that now the image automatically fills the web page. And the cool thing about this is we only define the width, right? We didn't define the height. And then what HTML does is it'll set the width to 100% of the page, and it'll automatically resize the height to match that. One other really cool feature about this is if you open this web page on a mobile device, of course, on your phone, the screen size will be a lot smaller, right? Or if you open it up on a smaller screen versus a larger screen. But since we use 100%, HTML will automatically resize it to be the size of that screen, right? So this makes your web page very like reactive or adaptive because it'll change based on the size of the person's screen. Okay. Yeah, I mean, sometimes like sometimes it is easier to use stuff like an IDE like VS Code or Eclipse or whatever, because usually they'll highlight your mistakes for you. But at the same time, this is a lot easier just because you can easily collaborate with your peers. I can't get the picture itself. Jada, we can probably, after this session, you can probably send a screenshot on the Discord and we can probably help you with it there. I think we probably don't have time to do too much troubleshooting right now. Okay, I believe this is pretty much the last topic. So now we're going to talk about multiple pages. So now this is another integral part of your website, right? So if you guys have been to any website, I think I have an example website here. For example, the White House website. You can see the White House website, right?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, right. So if you notice on the White House website, they have some information here, but they don't have all their information here, right? They have these sub pages. So I can click on administration to see some more information, priorities, COVID-19, etc. So these split up the information in a way that is like easier to find what you want, right? So if you guys remember on the website I had you guys make, you created like 3 sections, right? You created a section like my hobbies, my family, and I forget, like there's 3 sections. So now all 3 of those sections were on the same page, but let's say we want to put them on 3 separate pages. So we're going to go over how to do that, right? So the first thing you're going to click is add file. And here you're going to click, for example, we need to name this file, right? So let's call it my hobbies.html, right? Make sure you type the .html because it is an HTML file, right? Now, if you open it up, it'll be blank. And usually blank files can be very scary because you don't know how to start. So what I usually just like to do, I just do this. So I just take my previous web page and I copy paste it over. That did not work. Oh wait, that's the wrong page. Okay. Oh wait, sorry. So this is a copy of the initial HTML code that you get with a new REPL. So this is like the base code, right? It just has the doc type and like the basic setup, like HTML head body. So you can just take this and you can copy paste it over here, right? So now we have a new web page, right? And this web page, of course, we can edit it again. Let's just do something. Let's add image here, just so we can know the difference between our two web pages. What we're going to do is we're going to add this image here, but instead this one is going to be the other one. Okay, so now you might ask, how do we access this page, right? Because if you notice, when we click run, the page that runs is always index.html. That's always the first page that we see. So how do we access my hobbies.html? So if you guys remember yesterday, we actually created a link, and this link was, let me put it up here. We just made a link to google.com. But now what if we wanted to create a link to our own web page, right? So what we can do here is we can actually type in my hobbies.html, right? And we, again, remember to put it in quotes. I'll fix that one. And we can call it my hobbies. And now we can run it. And we have our link right here. And now if we click it, sometimes this doesn't work on REPL. Let me open it up on a separate page. If we click it, why isn't this working?
Go to myhobbies.html.
It might be the code.
The link is going to the right page. You don't have anything there. Like
No, I
there's
have
just
an image.
just like write like hi or something on body, in body.
This one I posted an image.
Yeah, just like hi or something. Yeah.
This is some text.
Yeah. So if you go back.
Okay, so if we open this up, and if we click on this link, we find our new web page. Hi, this is some text. I could have sworn I put in I put in the wrong page. If we copy paste this up here, this will make it easier to see. Right, so if we run this page, we'll notice that this is our home page. It's always going to be index.html. It has this image. And now if we click this link, instead, it'll take us to our second page, which is this image. Of course, when you actually create your pages, they won't be images. It'll be like it'll be the things that you want, like your each different topic. Okay, next thing. Add file, we did that. Using link. Okay, so now of course when somebody goes to your website, you don't want them to just see this small link over here, right? You want them to easily be able to, like, for example, if we look at the White House website, we have this really nice looking nav bar up here, or navigation bar, right? It shows us all the different links that we can go to, and it shows them at the very top of the page in a very clean manner. And if you even notice, when we scroll down, the nav bar is locked and it follows us. Or sorry, it's actually detached and it follows us instead of just staying at the top, right? So all of this is done using CSS. HTML can't style it to look like this or to look this nice, but we can set up the initial code for it. So one way to think about a nav bar is just a list of links. And if you guys remember, we actually learned how to create lists yesterday, right? So we just create a UL, or an unordered list. And I think we can just copy this. So let's put this at the very top where we put this, because of course the navigation bar goes at the top. And instead of an ordered list, we want an unordered list. And let's do this. Inside each of these list items, okay. So if we run this, now we just have a list that says hello world at the top, right? So inside each of these list items, instead of putting a word, we're going to put a link. And the first link is going to lead us to myhobbies.html. And the second link is going to lead us to this other web page that I made, which is called copy.html. Right, so in here, let's just type hi. And for my hobbies.html, instead, we have this image, right? So now, if we were to run this, we'll notice that we see, oh, wait, I should probably change this to copy. So now we'll see that we have our two different links, right? This leads us to this page, and this leads us to this other page. But of course, if you guys notice, we saw the bullet points here, the spacing's weird. We probably don't want bullet points in our nav bar. So this is where CSS comes in. In order to set this up, we're going to actually learn a bit of CSS. We went over this, right? So this CSS basically styles unordered lists in a certain way, right? So if we read this, list style type none. So this means that, well, basically we won't have any bullet points, and then we're going to remove the margins and we're going to remove the padding. So this goes into the style.css file. Of course, since it's a .css file, it's again, if you guys remember, CSS stands for cascading style sheets. This would be the file where we want to put all the information for styling. Now, you could put this information inside the HTML file, but the reason we don't is because it makes the HTML file it makes it very cluttered. It makes it hard to read the code, and it makes it very confusing to debug. So that's why we put all the style code here instead, right? So we're going to put UL. So this, first and foremost, we put UL opening bracket, closing bracket. So this tells it any code inside this is going to be used to style the UL object, right? And then we're going to do list style type none, margin 0, padding 0, margin 0, padding. Now, if we run this instead, you'll notice we have no padding, so it's not separated from the edge. We have no margins, and we actually have no bullet points. Another cool thing, if you want, for example, if you do want to create a list, but we want to use square bullet points, square, you run this. Wait, is it not square? Should work. Okay, I know that's why it's not working. But there are other words that you can use. Oh, actually, it might be because of these. There we go. So it was actually because the margin and the padding, but we can create square bullet points instead of circle bullet points. So of course, in this scenario, we want none because we're trying to create a nav bar. Okay, let's run it. We get this chats. Yes. So if you guys are looking at chats, Daniel put something in there. So yes, you can actually, if you guys remember, we talked about divisions yesterday. So we said that you can use them just to create sections in your code. But yes, Daniel posted an actual usage. So we can define a division, and inside that division, we can, for example, place our code for UL. And then we can say that that division is going to be styled a certain way. Now, the reason we would do this is because we have multiple lists on our web page, right? And the first list is our nav bar, but the other lists might not necessarily be nav bars. Those other lists might be we want it to be a bulleted list, right? But the issue with doing this is if we go back into index.html, and if we create another list, and if I create a list item here, and I run it, you'll notice that this other list also does not have a bullet point, which is an issue because for this list, we might have wanted to have a bullet point. So that's actually a bit more advanced CSS, and we'll be covering that later. for now, we're just covering how to use CSS to make this specific nav bar. This is stuff I think Tevin will probably cover it next week. If not, this is stuff that you can Google about and like learn off of YouTube. Okay. Next. Okay. So we've added a bit of like we've made our bar slightly cleaner, right? And of course, this is just some more CSS that we can use in order to make our list show up in a line, right? So if you notice on like the White House website, the links show up in a line. They don't show up in like a column, right? So what we can do here is we can add it here. And this time we're going to add some CSS for the list elements. And for here, what we're going to do, we're going to say display inline. And now if you guys notice, it shows it up, it shows inline, right? So they show up next to each other. So it's starting to get there, but of course it still doesn't look nearly as clean as it could. And you guys might think, how do we make it look cleaner, right? And the answer is even I don't know. Making it look very clean, like for something like the White House website, is very difficult. It requires a lot of CSS. And that's where something like W3 Schools comes in, right? So in order to improve our nav bar further, the easiest way we can do it is we can just go to, for example, the W3 Schools. They have a whole list of CSS tutorials, and we can go to their horizontal navigation bar tutorial, right? So like, for example, let's say we want to create this sort of navigation bar, right? As an about page, contact, news, home. It's at the very top of the page, and it looks really nice, right? Like if you notice, like if we want to create something like this, right? A navigation bar like this. W3 Schools can give us the code that's required in order to make this, right? So what we're going to do is we just Googled, for example, W3 Schools navigation bar tutorial. And we're going to go to the W3 Schools website, and it shows up, right? And let's say we want to create a horizontal nav bar. So we can find the code right here. So this gives us the CSS for the unordered list, for the list, and for the links in order to make it look like this bar. And in order to see what it'll look like, you can click the try it yourself button, and you'll see that this code would result in this sort of navigation bar. So what we can actually do now is we can simply take their CSS code that they've given, and we can put it into our style.css. And now if we run this, you'll notice that our navigation bar now, wait, I should probably, let me delete that extra bits. Let's delete this list. Now if we run it again, you'll notice that we have our nice looking navigation bar at the very top. And of course, we saw the two links, copy goes to this page, and my hobbies goes to this page. Of course, these would be replaced with your actual web pages. And the last thing that you really want to do is you just want to take this code snippet, your unordered list, and you want to copy it over to your other two web pages. Because once you get to your new web page, how are you supposed to get back to the home page? Of course, you have to have another nav bar. And we're going to make one small change, right? So of course, for this page, we're already on the My Hobbies page. So why would we want a link to go back to it? So what we can actually do is we can change this index.html, and we can call it homepage. And we can go to copy.html, and we can replace this with index.html. Now, you guys will notice if we run this and we go to our website, if we click My Hobbies, we'll go to the My Hobbies page, and our nav bar changes to include homepage and copy. We can go back to our homepage and we can copy, and our copy page will instead have My Hobbies and homepage, and we can click this. So this allows us to get to any page on our website from any page of our website. And of course, it's your choice. You don't have to remove it. Like for example, if on this you want to include the other page as well, we can just include our copy page on copy. Run this, and we go to copy, Now we have all 3 pages, and you'll notice if we click it, it does nothing because we're already on that page. Okay, let me check chats. Okay, yeah, sure. I think somebody else posted the link, but I will post it again. Okay. Yeah, I can go here. Let me post this for you guys.
Did you go over how to attach a style sheet to an HTML document?
I think, okay, REPL does it automatically for you, but we can just go over it really quick. So if you guys remember, we talked about the format of an HTML file. And if we go to this one, remember, everything is inside the HTML tag. And inside that, we have the header tag and the body tag. So the body contains the actual code for your website. It's what we see. But the header tag contains the metadata. It contains information about the website. So first we set the char set. So this sets like, we can set the char set. Then these are just other things that we set for the website. Yeah, and this sets the title. And here is actually where we link the style sheet, right? So if you notice, this is called style.css. So we just type the link tag. And again, href is the link. Rel is equal to style sheets. And the type is text/CSS, right? So again, you guys don't really have to worry about this because REPL will do it automatically. And what this basically does is it means that this HTML page is being styled by this CSS page. Of course, we can create a new one. So we can say style2.css. And this one's blank, right? So if we go over here and we change this to style2, and then we run it, and then we go to copy page, you guys will notice it's not formatted anymore because our style2 page is empty and our copy page is linked to style2. Yeah, so so the reason I showed you guys how to use W3 to create this cool looking navigation bar is to show you guys how you can do basically anything in CSS yourself, right? If you want to do anything, like for example, let's say we want to change the font. We just find the fonts, font family, and now we W3 schools will tell us exactly how to change the font, right? It has everything. So for example, if you want to change the size, it tells you how to do that. If you want to change the position of something, if you want to add a table, for example, if you want to add this sort of table thingy into your website, it tells you how to do that, etc. So like anything you can think of that you've seen on somebody else's website, you can actually add it to your own website by finding the code that they use to do it. And most of that code is available on W3 Schools. And another cool thing I want to show you guys is I think many of you guys have probably messed around with inspect element. If you haven't, you just go on any web page, you right click and you click inspect. And that shows you the code for the website. So if you guys actually notice, if we go to the navigation bar here, and if we click this and then we click inspect, you guys will notice that this is actually this is basically the same code that we've been typing. A for the link tag, href is equal to this other link, the White House website, and then the title for that link, right? And the only difference is the CSS that the White House website uses. Even that, if we just go to inspect, we can scroll to the very top and we'll notice inside the header tag, it says script. Wait, where's the CSS? Let me find it. Should be in here. Might just be this.
No. It's fine. I mean, the point
Okay,
is that
whatever,
it will have like
it
will have some of the other scripts or style sheets installed in them.
So you can actually go to any website, and if you think that like some CSS element that they did is really cool, or some HTML element, you just go to the website, you click inspect element near the near the thing, right? So if we inspected the navigation bar, and you can actually figure out the code that they used to do it, and then you can replicate that code on your own website.
Yeah, if you can see the CSS is right there, right below. It uses a font family, font size, line height, they have all of that stuff down there. So yeah.
Yeah. So like for example, if we even just can't actually but like you can basically copy paste this over, right? So if, as Ansh was saying, like for example, this edits the list elements, this edits the link itself, etc. Right? If you guys notice text decoration underline, that's why each of their elements are underlined. If we go to our own website, and we just go to style and we do, I believe it would be in here, right? Text, color,
It was text decoration.
text decoration. And if we run this, there we go. Now we have lines under our text, right? So it's really simple to create a really cool looking web page by employing CSS that you don't actually have to really, well, you should know what it does, but you don't have to know the exact syntax because you just go to a website like W3 Schools and you can find it, right? Nobody memorizes the exact syntax to create a table, right? Because all this stuff can just be found online. And of course, the hard part is actually implementing it correctly, right? So for example, how do you make it so that this only affects the navigation bar? It doesn't affect the rest of our web page because we don't want every list on our web page to look like a navigation bar, right? We might just want to create a bulleted list. And that's slightly more advanced CSS that has to do with divisions. And I believe that is something we will cover next week.
Yeah.
I believe that is everything I have. So again, I'll send you guys this website or this presentation. This presentation contains links, like for example, the W3 Schools websites. It has a link for image formatting right here. And it also has a link for the color implementation, which are the 3 topics we covered today. So, okay. So if we have, yeah. So as Miguel said, Christian, if we have multiple lists, the way CSS tells them apart is we don't actually, we give CSS for a specific class or for a specific division instead of giving it for the list itself. So that's how we would only edit the lists in that one division. There's a Kahoot at the very end of the session. So there's a second session, the ideation session, and we're gonna have a Kahoot after that because you guys asked for a longer Kahoot. So it's gonna be a total of like 15, 20 questions containing information from this and from the next presentation.
Yeah. So yeah, Advait, I think we're done, right, with
Okay,
the HTML?
yeah, we're done.
Okay, great. Yeah, I know that this session was a little bit more complicated, right? Because we learned to do more advanced stuff than we did yesterday. So if you have any questions, Advait will be active on Discord, kind of helping you guys out with all of that stuff. Perhaps by today he's a little busy, but maybe by tomorrow and Tuesday he'll kind of get to you. So besides that, I do want to go ahead and introduce is Miss Krishnan here? Yeah, there you go. Hello. So yeah, so our next speaker is going to be Uda Krishnan. So she is has been a volunteer of Shooting Stars Foundation for the last 3 years, and she's an accounting leader at a company called Amgen, which is a biotechnology company. And last year she actually hosted a really successful hackathon with over 250 registrations. So she definitely has a lot of experience, kind of with that hackathon scene and what's kind of going out. And she's even developed things like entrepreneurship incubators and things like that. And so today she's going to be talking about ideation with something called ikigai. So definitely, if you want to go ahead and take it away, Ms. Krishnan, you can. Thank you so much for joining us today. Oh yes, unmuted. Yeah, sorry. Okay, there we go. You can go ahead and unmute, I think.
Okay, thank you, Ansh. All right, how are you all doing today? I guess Ansh, you started about an hour ago, or
yeah.
Okay, all right, okay. Okay, so let me go ahead, share my deck. Let me know when you see it, okay?
Yeah.
Do you see the presentation?
I do not yet.
Okay. Let me go back to
I can now see your zoom.us screen. If you could go to your presentation.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I can see you now. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Ansh. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I guess you're all from different time zones. So let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Una Krishnan, and I'm a CPA by profession. And I work as an accounting manager for Amgen, which is a biotechnology company with headquarters at at Thousand Oaks in California. And my passion is empowering youth, and my purpose I'm still discovering. So this session is about, the name of the session is The Perfect Idea. So as you are all now preparing for your hackathon, and I think later today you will be getting the topics for your hackathon. So, you have to decide which topic you're going to go with, and as well as come up with an idea to present for the hackathon. So first, let's look at what an idea is, right? So the name of the topic is perfect idea. So you may wonder if there is even something called a perfect idea. What is a perfect idea, right? So let's look at what an idea is. An idea is something that connects a problem or a need to a solution. So that's when you need an idea, right? Because if you have a problem or you want something, then you have to figure out how to get it, right? So then that's what an idea is. So, so as I said, it's important in order to come up with an idea, it is very important to understand the problem. So Charles Kettering said, a problem well stated is problem half solved. So if you understand the problem and who are facing the problem, right? The audience, the customers. So if you understand the people and the problem that they are facing, then it's easier to come up with an idea to solve the problem. So also when, now we have so many topics, and even when you look at the world, there are so many problems, right? So how do you decide, okay, which one are you going to address, right? So it's important to look at, if the problem is urgent and obvious, or if it is urgent, but people are not aware of the problem, right? And then the problem could be something that's obvious, but it's not urgent. It's not an urgent need. And then there could be something that's, it's obvious, it's not obvious, and it's not urgent. So that's why you have these 4 quadrants. So you should classify the problems in these quadrants to see which one is more critical, right? So that also determines your customer base. When you're solving a problem that's obvious and urgent, and then people are definitely going to buy the product, right? Because it is something that they really need. So this also determines your customer base, putting them in these buckets and analyzing which is the problem that you're going to go after is important. So that's with regards to a problem, right? Now, when you look at needs, some of you may have already come across this. This is called the Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. So Maslow was an economist, and he came up with this, hierarchy saying all humans have needs, and we do things in life in order to satisfy these needs, right? So first, at the bottom of this pyramid is the physiological needs, where all of us need food, shelter, clothing, right? And then comes the safety needs, which is like, you want to be in a safe neighborhood, you want to have emotional safety, financial safety, all of that. And then you have the emotional needs, which is relationship needs. Then the self-esteem needs, which is how do you want to present yourself in front of society, right? Self-esteem, how do you want to be valued? How do you want to be respected, right? And then you have the self-actualization needs, which is when you put out your entire creative potential, right? So depending on some of the products, for example, if you look at Facebook, it was solving the emotional need of people, right? So this is something that was, people like to connect with each other, right? So it basically solved the emotional need. And that's why they have, so many customers, right? So it's important to see what need you're going to solve, And that would also help you determine your customer base. So these are the key to successful ideas, right? One, as I said earlier, it's very important to understand your customer, the people, right? Who are your customers? What are they looking for? What will make them happy, right? And then understanding your competition. Are there similar products in the market? How can you differentiate your a product from what is in the market already, right? And is it by pricing, or is it by the quality that you're providing, or is it by customer service? In some way, you have to differentiate yourself from the competition. Or are you catering to a different geographical market? Right? So you have to determine and answer these questions in order to come up with a successful idea. The next thing is also, how big is the market, right? Like, you can come up with an idea and invest a lot of time, resources, and energy in it. But then if the market is only, let's say, 1,000 customers, that's all is the whole market for a particular idea, then it's not, you're not going to make much out of it. So you have to see how big is the market. Can you scale the product, right? So those are important considerations when you come up with an idea. The other thing is, how deep is your passion? So what we went through till now are the external factors, like the customers, the competition, how big is the market? Those are all external factors. But you as an individual, you are the person who are going to be working on this idea, right? So you're going to be putting your time, energy, and resource. And anytime you invest your time, energy, and resource, you have to look to see, what do you get out of it, right? You have to get something back, right? Otherwise, it's not worth it. So the idea has to resonate with you as a person. So it's very important how passionate you are about the idea. So that leads you into the area of self-discovery. So you're all high school students or middle school students, and this is the time you should actually reflect before you make your career choices, or some of you want to become entrepreneurs, what you want to pursue in life. It's very important to understand yourself, internalizing, right? Okay, what is my ultimate goal? Like, what is it that gives me happiness? Do I want money, or do I want power, or fulfillment, or popularity, or do I want to leave a legacy behind? Do I want to create an impact in the world, right? So, and there's nothing in all these goals. Each of us are unique. So each goal is important and as valuable. So there's nothing like, okay, one goal is more important than the other, right? And you as an individual person can gain happiness from any of these goals, and that's okay, right? So understanding that, and so it's internalizing and understanding what your ultimate goal is and what would make you happy as a person. The other driving factor are your values, right? So there is, all of us have, certain core values. Usually we are taught at home, even when we are a child, right? As we're being raised, there are certain core values that are being taught to us by our parents. And we also, as we go to school, we are taught values. And we also see in society, right, the impact of people's actions. And then we decide what our core values are, right? So it could be integrity, kindness, and compassion, or environment could be something that you're passionate about, or quality, or fairness, right? So these are core values. So it's important to understand what your core values are, because this is going to you can achieve your goals. There are various ways to achieve your goals, right? But if you there are different paths that you can take. But if that doesn't resonate with your values, you may achieve the goal, but you may not be happy with it. So it's important to understand your values as well. So another thing that I tell for, especially, kids who are in high school, it's very important to learn decision making, right? Because the decisions you make are will have consequences and will determine your life. So it's important that you take ownership of your decisions. You could have, your parents, your teachers, your friends, the society could all be mentors who can give inputs to what you're looking at, right? But the actual decision about your career or your life, it's important that you take ownership of it, to say what is it that you're going to be happy with, right? So it's important to learn those decision making skills early on. So one of the ways to look at decision making is looking at your goals and your values to make decisions. For any decision that has a long-term impact, it would be good to look at, to say, okay, how does this decision impact my goals? My short-term and my long-term goals. Is it a part of that? How is this decision going to impact my goals? And also whether they are within my values, right? Is this decision going to make me happy? Right. So those are, if you make decisions keeping into account your goals and your values, it's kind of, you have a structured way of making decisions, and it helps you practice decision making as well. So, and even so, then when you make a decision, it's easy to stand up for it, right? You can justify your decisions when you have actually put down the reasoning behind it, even if it's different from what your parents are saying or from what your friends are doing, right? So you could say, this is why I made this decision, right? So it's important that you can and it helps starting early on with decision making. Even if sometimes if your parents are making decision for you, you can think it through and then say, okay, validate the decision they made for you, right? So that way you know why those decisions are made. And it's important, even if somebody else is making the decision, it's important to ask why those decisions were made and to reason out, so that, because it's your life, and it's very important to take ownership. And so then we look at our, so this is a Japanese concept called ikigai, which helps you find a balance in life, right? So this applies to ideas as well. So it's something that, when you decide on an idea, it's important to see that pursuing that idea gives you success and satisfaction, right? So if something that it connects with your feelings and emotions, then that gives you happiness, right? And then, of course, in order to pursue an idea, you need certain talents, skills, and capabilities. I'm sure Advait and Ansh probably shared with you some, technology skills, right? So, like for your hackathon, you need to know how to code, or you're learning how to code, right? So this is like, in order to pursue the idea, you need to understand what are the skills, talents, capabilities that's required, and you need to build those talents and capabilities. And as you may have a certain goal for a standard of living, right? This is the kind of car I would like to have, or this is the kind of home I want to live in. This is the kind of neighborhood I want to be in. So depending on that, it's important to assess, okay, what does it take to get that, right? People who have been there already, what does it take to get there? And to see, okay, which are the what should I pursue in order to get to that level of standard of living, right? And the other part is the fulfilling your purpose, right? This is something that you feel deeply about, what you're very passionate about in solving in this world, right? So when you find ideas, or when you find careers which give you a balance of all these factors, then the concept of ikigai says that that's when you are in balance and you're going to be successful as well as happy. Because you can chase after success, but if it doesn't give you happiness, then it at some point it goes out of balance, right? So it's important to maintain that balance. And one of the other key things is finding the right mentors. So, once you internalize, you understand who you are as a person. And it's important, there are people who've taken this journey like you, right? Like to reach out to mentors to see, okay, even your ideas, right? To brainstorm with people and get feedback. Okay, is this, we're all, we could get very excited and passionate about ideas that come up, right? But when we talk through with people, then we know, okay, what are the pieces that we are missing, right? Is this really going to be helpful for somebody, or is this really going to make money, right? So those are things that it's important that you discuss with somebody. And it's important, as you know, when you're in high school and middle school, to find mentors who can help you along the way. And so this is one of my favorite slides. It's an idea is only that until you do something with it, right? You can keep on thinking and coming up with so many ideas, but you have to jump right in and try it out. It's okay to fail, but it's important to try, right? That's the key thing. So it's, the sooner you try, you're going to have so much more experience, and that's going to definitely lead you to success. So if you want to learn to swim, jump into the water. On dry land, no frame of mind is ever going to help you. And that's a quote from Bruce Lee. So this is, these are the key things that, I want you to look at when you're coming up with your ideas for the hackathon, right? To keep in mind, what is the problem you're solving? How does the problem resonate with you as a person? Are you passionate about it? And then to come up with ideas, understand the customer, and find mentors, discuss it with your mentors and your teammates. The other important part for your hackathon is teamwork, right? So now you're going to be 4 people in the team. So it's important to see, do all of you feel passionate about the idea, right? And do all of you have the skill set to execute on it, right? Or if some of you could have the creative skill set, some of you could have the technical skill set, right? So finding that balance and working together as a team is also critical to be successful in the hackathon. So that brings me to the end of my presentation.
Great. Thank you so much for your presentation. I hope that you guys all learned a little bit about how your ideas should kind of reflect who you are and try to meet those core needs that you have. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next speaker, Vince Houston, Mr. Vince Houston, who's a principal engineer at NetScout Systems, which is located in Allen, Texas. And he was a key part of the Shooting Stars Dallas Hackathon in 2019. So we thank you for being here, Mr. Houston, and you can take it away with your presentation. Thank you for being with us today. Sorry about that. I just made you co-host. You can unmute now. We can't hear you because you're currently muted.
Unmute. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. Thank you.
Okay. So the topic that was chosen for the hackathon is what will life look like in 2013? And we'll look at coming up with an idea, brainstorming an idea, how to execute on the idea, and then perhaps the most important part is going before the Shark Tank. So this will be fast-paced and just going to be throwing up a lot of ideas about ideas, and you might just consider writing down a few things that strike you. So the committee suggested a few trends or domains to consider: technology, consumer products in that category, energy, things out of this world, health, it could be treatment or prevention, learning or workforce development, travel, culture, environment or climate or pollution. So you'll want to pick a trend, conceive of an idea or a product, and build an app. So let's move on to project ideas. You can go to Wikipedia and look at the article on Futurist, and they have a list of about 100 people that make a living in this domain. And you see that Anders Sandberg is an expert on predicting human enhancement. So here are some other ideas: holography, wearable technology, living design, nanotechnology, space colonization, human enhancement. The OLPC has been going on for perhaps 20 years. You see that boxed on the right side, 1 laptop per child. And these cost about $100 or $200 a piece. They have their own antenna. It's impossible to break the screen, and they even come with a hand crank for their own energy. Or you could consider some TV shows, the Jetsons from when I was growing up, or Star Trek more recently. So review the work of others. Having the idea is the hard part. And here's Tina, the tech writer, and Dilbert, the typist, and just type me an app, not. That's not necessarily as easy as it sounds. So previous hackathon, the idea, the theme was to create an app that had civic benefits. And these slides came largely from that presentation, but they do demonstrate how to perhaps see what everyone else has seen and think what no one else has thought. And these are some ideas that students came up with using App Inventor at MIT. So an app to help their blind classmate, an app to find safe drinking water, an app to help traffic and direction, an app to coordinate relief efforts, another app for bus schedules, another app to reduce the complexity of vehicle maintenance. And if you go to that website, you'll see up to thousands of examples that you might get an idea from. Here's another idea, an app for spotting things in roads that need fixing. You report it, and then it gets in a queue and fixed eventually. So this app developer used the camera, the GPS, and Share that are tools of their smartphone, and then wrote a server program that these apps coordinate with. This is in Dallas. The Dallas Catholic Charities has a mobile pantry, and they get food from the North Texas Food Bank, and they take it to the people that need it. So some smartphone tools that you might consider integrating, the use of scanning, which could be barcodes or matrix barcodes or radio frequency identification. You could use the GPS to locate the device the user is on. You could use the microphone to hear what's going on in the environment. You could use the smartphone's magnetic field sensors and sense the direction of the device the user is using. Or you could use its accelerometers, which would sense the jitter or the tilt of the phone and perhaps understand what's going on the desktop that the phone is on. Or in this case, this is a project at SMU, they sense the vibration of a car as it drives over a bridge and can tell if the bridge perhaps needs maintenance. So QR scanning, that's a two-dimensional barcode. It's used for orienteering, where you scan the QR symbol to start, and then each location that you're supposed to find, and then you scan the finish and you upload your results. Another idea would be RFID. You don't have to have line of sight. As long as you're within a few feet, your device can sense it, and in this case, take inventory. Or you can sense implants either in people or in pets. Libraries, I understand, are going to this so that they don't have to perfectly line up the book underneath the barcode scanner. Or you could have it in your badge at work or with patients at a hospital, and then pet identification. So let's look at brainstorming an idea. Let's see, you could add technology to an existing process like barcode any and everything, or the Internet of Things. We'll see slides on both of those, or conceive a different way to organize or deliver services. And we'll see Charming Charlie's on the subsequent slide. So Carter Blood Care, the blood bank for the North Texas area. I'm going to see if I can move. Oh, that works nicely. I need to uncover what I'm displaying. Let's see. That's what I need. Okay, so when somebody comes in to donate blood, a sheet of barcode stickers is assigned to that person, and then those stickers are put on every piece of paperwork and every vial of blood that is drawn. And then they also use it for automatic data entry. They'll scan one of these lines in their notebook for all the steps that they have taken, and then there's quality control afterwards to ensure that no steps were left out. And these are some of the steps. Internet of Things is becoming extremely popular, and that's going to allow devices, sensors, appliances, equipment to all be connected across the internet. So you can monitor or control or collaborate between devices. So that would include things like the smart home or repair remotely of appliances or autonomous vehicles or wearable technology, home security, opening your garage remotely. And then Charming Charlie's color codes everything so that you can accessorize and live colorfully. I just find this visual very striking. Let's see, brainstorming an idea. You could automate some things. You could take something that's labor intensive and improve it. You could integrate some things. You could take things that don't currently plug and play and make them do that. You could migrate some things to the internet or to the cloud and then make them accessible anywhere by anyone. And those things could be inventory. They could be recipients. So integrating recipients, integrating labor-saving devices. They could be volunteers that you're trying to integrate, or calendars, or alerts that people can request when some event occurs. So let's look at how to execute. First, you want to do like normal project management and create a storyboard. They do this in movies, I understand, and it's done in project management. Here's one format. You'll notice just the stick figures. It doesn't have to be sophisticated at all. It just gives you a flow of what your idea is all about. Here's a different format, and here's a third format. So this is the what, and then design the how before coding the how. And that could include here at the bottom right, a flow chart, or it could include sequence diagrams, anything that helps you illustrate what it is that you're going to do. And this comes in handy for your presentation because it demonstrates that you haven't done this. You definitely want to aim before you start firing code. Okay, so then identify the tasks within your project. That way you can allocate the work to different people, and those people can go off and do the work in parallel. And that's what the notion of threads is all about, is doing things in parallel instead of in sequence. So you'll also want to consider and make these assignments. Who will do the typing if only one keyboard is being used? Who will do the speaking? Who will drive the demo? Who will actually do the talking in the demo? If everybody is doing development, then how are you going to integrate the work when you're ready? And this was the time allotted the previous hackathon, but I think it gives you good ratios for how much effort you need to do up front, how much effort will be involved implementing the project, and then you'll want to reserve a non-trivial amount of time to prepare for the presentation. And then pitching your product. So these are the criteria that have been used for judging in the previous hackathon. Ideation. Does it have application? Does it demonstrate the goals that were set for this hackathon? Innovation. Does it break new ground, or is it better, faster, cheaper than something that already exists? Design and functionality. How organized is the product and the presentation? How much of it works? You perhaps have been exceedingly ambitious and you're only going to be able to demonstrate a portion of it, but you need to demonstrate that you've thought about the entire scope of the project, the presentation, the branding, the market feasibility. And this really is just like Shark Tank on TV. So you need a convincing argument, a strategy to bring the app to market, differentiation from your competition, and what kind of branding have you invented, or the visual identity of your product. Continuing and pitching your product, this is a quote from this link, and this link is live. Here we go. So I would strongly encourage you to browse this. It's got 6 ideas. The most important part is the 3 minutes that you have for pitching your product, and there's an initial screenshot of that page. So assign a speaker and someone that's going to drive the demonstration, the keyboard and the mouse, and then practice and state your vision and your business value up front. Present evidence that you aimed before you fired, and that would include all your design documentation. Maximize your demonstration time. So you're going to be talking, but you're also going to be demoing the product, and the latter is perhaps routinely not given enough emphasis. So walk through usage scenarios. Don't volunteer problems. That's one of the recommendations in this web page. Use placeholders for incomplete features. So this is Dilbert with, if we had it working, you would see this, this, and this. And you want the judges ultimately to say, I got to get me some of that. So some more ideas to think about, questions that might be asked, and a list that came from that web page. What was the inspiration of the idea? Who are your target users? What's the business value of the app? What are the challenges you faced? If you had more time, what would you do next? What is your plan for the app post hackathon? And if another app is very similar, what makes yours unique or better? And this is something that I read years ago, and I think it's a wonderful exhortation for this all-day Saturday event. The question was given, who designed the current American flag with 50 states? And the answer is a high school student. So in the 50s, before Alaska and Hawaii became the last 2 states in the Union, they were being discussed for statehood. And in 1958, there was a nationwide history project for design of the new national flag. Robert Heft, a high school student, designed one locally and got a B- in his history class, but it ended up going all the way to Washington, D.C. It was selected by then President Eisenhower. And remarkably enough, his grade was changed to an A. So experience is huge. You're always told you need 5 years experience to apply for this job or any number of jobs. They're always looking for experience. But I would suggest inspiration is priceless, and this is an opportunity for you to start building your brand. That's what I have. So do we want to have questions for the entire hour?
Yeah, just before that, I think, Tandi, we cannot hear you. I know you're saying something. No, we cannot hear you. Do you want to rejoin maybe? Okay. Yeah, so does somebody have questions? Hmm. Okay. Well, if not, I guess, yeah, so I think we do have to wait because we have, oh, how would we get experience? That's a good question. So one of the main things with experience, I think, Mr. Houston, do you want to go ahead and take this? The question was, how would we get experience?
I'm reminded of the quote, let's see. Oh, shoot.
I would say that one of the best ways that at least I get experience is that I take on a lot of projects. So even just this simple about me page is a small project that you could use. So definitely that's one of the best ways to kind of get experience is to just pick up projects that you think are cool and code them. And by the end of the project, you'll be much stronger than you were before. And you can even, and that project can even go on things like your resume. So it definitely gives you hardcore experience as well.
So can
What
you hear
else?
me now? Sorry, Ansh.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Sorry, was Vince, were you going to respond to something?
Yes. Good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment. So I agree with what you said, is just apply yourself as a volunteer as anything that you can get your foot in the door, and then you can document that and demonstrate that it might not be something that you got paid to do, but it's experience nonetheless.
Okay, excellent. So I want to give a sincere and genuine thanks to both Una Krishnan as well as Vince Huston for donating, contributing their time to help us out. They have participated in multiple hackathons in the past, volunteering their time. So thank you so much. Before closing this out, I would like to ask Una and Vince, and probably Ansh here, who has taken part in a lot of hackathons. What was your top favorite one or two ideas you've seen people do? I mean, like what excited you in the hackathons that you organized or judged? So Vince, can I start with you in the Dallas hackathon? What are one or two ideas which you were excited about, what the kids created? You remember?
There was one that was a game that used a gaming framework. So a lot of the wow factor came from a great deal of experience that 2 of the 4 team members already had, but the other 2 were able to contribute in the brainstorming and the support roles, while the first 2 supplied all the know-how.
Excellent, excellent. Una, any of the example? You're on mute. Any examples that excited you in your previous hackathons?
Sure. I think what I remember from the Amgen hackathon was the one team came up with an idea called Resonance. So it was basically an app where multiple people can create music together. So that was, it was a very fun idea. And the team had also actually built quite a bit of the app during the hackathon itself. So I think that
Yeah.
resonated.
The name of that was definitely very cool. I think there was one that was
So
like
Ansh,
super.
just to tell everybody, I don't
Yeah.
know if anybody introduced Ansh to this level. Ansh has participated in multiple hackathons, has won championships in multiple hackathons, and he already donated $3,000 from one of the winnings to Shooting Stars Foundation to sponsor a college student in India. So that's just the background. So whatever Ansh says is like out of personal experience, like in the recent past. Go ahead, Ansh.
Yeah, so I actually knew the developer of this, but there was a project called Tabulo, and like what they did was that like you could use your phone to like draw almost as a whiteboard, and it would like sync and it would share the whole phone's whiteboard to like everybody else. So it was like an efficient way of teaching, like because it's really hard to like get tablets for like third world countries and stuff. So they could use a smartphone as a whiteboard and share that whiteboard with everybody. So that was a really cool project with a really cool description. So I think one thing that I did want to mention, Vince mentioned a ton of great ideas about like, using future technology. I think if you say that you're more of a beginner and you're kind of just starting out with kind of making a website, I would say a lot of what you could do is exploratory. So like, for example, say that if it's something like Mars colonization, you could make a website that's dedicated to teaching more about Mars colonization, and it could have tons of pages relating to different aspects of Mars colonization and how we could get there, and perhaps something even interactive interactive. Like maybe it shows you animations, or maybe there's even a little game where you could like, you try to survive on Mars. Or so there could be a lot of different things that you can do. But you don't have to like, implement some like crazy machine learning stuff in this hackathon. We're definitely not asking for that, especially if you're a beginner. So yeah, so that's just another idea to kind of make more of an information-based website if you are just a beginner.
And one more
Exactly,
thing-
exactly. I just want, go ahead, Una.
Yeah, one thing that I wanted to add was, one of the some of the feedback that we've received in previous hackathons is, and especially now since this hackathon is online, and you're going to be in teams with people from across the country, and I think sometimes even from people from another country, right? So the key is also your, getting to, work with the peers, right? Getting to work in a team of people who you don't know, right? You're meeting for the first time at the hackathon, and developing that network and have fun along the way. I think that's the key thing. Make sure that everybody's heard. That's very important. When we work individually, we all have different strengths. The most important thing when we work as a team is to acknowledge everybody's strength, right? Make sure that everybody in the team participates, and try to bring out the best in each other. It's just not the winning, it's the effort and the fun that you have along the way. That's very important as well.
Excellent. That's excellent advice, Una. I mean, that's exactly reinforcing Ansh and Una's points. Is like we all know most of you are beginners, so there is no issue with with forming a very simple website. It's all a beginning. It's mostly to pique your interest into coding and what can be done. So don't be shy. Don't be hesitant. You saw Advait presenting. Advait's email address is there. Go ahead and ask him anything you want. Ansh is there. So, we're all there to help you out. There'll be a team of technical people on the day of the hackathon, a team of professional mentors you will meet next week, who will be assigned one mentor to one team, right? So, you have all the help. So really, really request you to, to definitely try this out and see if you like coding. Okay. So to the fun part, the last fun part we have. Advait, are you ready with the Kahoot?
Yeah, I should be ready. Let me
Okay,
just
be ready.
make sure.
On your mark. So there's one prize. There's only one prize. So better answer it right.
And you guys wanted longer ones, so this time it's like 17 questions. We have around 10 questions from the HTML presentation. Most of them are just like straight out of like what was covered on the presentation. And then we have, I believe we have 8 questions from the ideation session that we just had. And those questions you might have to think about a bit more. Also on this one, I would recommend that you guys don't just click the first answer that seems right. I'd recommend that you guys read all the answer choices, because there are a few all of the above or none of the above questions. Okay, 1 second, let me get this set up. Okay, you guys can start to join, and I'll post the link in the chats. Remember to use your actual names.
Their actual names, and yeah, you better install the Kahoot app, because every session of ours is going to have this Kahoot. So we want multiple people to win. Okay, 1 more minute, please join.
Yeah, there are like 100 people here, 113, so we should have near that number.
Okay.
I don't know if it's just me, but you're lagging quite a bit.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Is it fine now?
We are good, Ansh.
Oh,
We
okay,
can
okay.
hear him
Then that
okay.
just might be me then.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll give it like 30 more seconds, since I think we have the time. It won't take more than like 15 minutes. So if anybody's having difficulty joining, make sure you put it in chat so we can try to help you out. We'll start at 1:46. Another minute.
Advait, can you scroll down and look for the name Bilal? Yeah,
Yep.
there, yeah, you're good.
Like we have 9
No problem.
people. Okay. I think we can start, Advait. Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start. Remember to read the questions carefully. I'll read out the question and the answer choice as well. Okay, so which of the following is not a way that we can represent colors? Hex, RGB, name, or picker? Okay, nice. So most of you guys got this. So if you guys remember, of course, hex and RGB we covered, and we also covered name. Like you can just say color is equal to red. But again, the only difference is with something like name, there's less options versus with hex and RGB, there's a lot more options. Picker is not a way we represent colors. Picker is just a way we can figure out the exact code for the color that we want to represent. Okay. What are the requirements of the image tag? So only alt, only SRC, SRC and alt, or neither?
Wow, people are typing in the answers even before the questions come up fully.
This is cutthroat competition.
I know.
Okay, nice. Most of you guys got it. So again, of course we need the SRC or else there's no way to view the image, but we also need the alts because if for whatever reason the image can't be displayed, the web page needs to be able to show something. So that's why we need both of them. Okay, Pranav taking the lead.
Okay.
Which of the following is not a way we can refer to images in HTML? Using their name, using a file path, using a link, or using a picture? Remember, a lot of these HTML questions are quite easy. We covered them word for word. You guys just have to like read all the answer choices before selecting one. And remember, it's always better to get the right answer than to get the wrong answer fast. Okay, so of course, just using the name, we can type image.jpg and it'll work. We can use the file path. I believe I also mentioned this. Using the file path is similar to just using the name, and using the link, you can just find a link of an image and copy paste it into the SRC and it will work. But of course, there's no way to actually copy paste an image into HTML code. So there's no way we can use a picture to refer to an image in HTML. Okay, what is the purpose of the alt attribute? To replace the image if it does not load, to appear on top of the image, to describe the image, or to appear below the image. Okay, nice. So most of you guys got this. So of course, it doesn't actually appear on top or below the image. It only appears if the image doesn't load. And of course, it does also describe the image in case the image doesn't load. So both of these answers were correct. Okay. True or false. Images can be formatted. Okay, so nice. Most of you guys got it. Images can be formatted. We can change where they're located on the page. We can change their width and we can change their height. Okay, true or false? A navigation bar is similar to a paragraph in HTML. Okay, nice. Most of you guys got this. It is false. A navigation bar is similar to a list. Remember, if you guys, when we did the code, we actually did it in the form of a list, an unordered list. It's not really similar to a paragraph. Okay, what is the first page of a website that opens? Index.html, newpage.html, mypage.html, or homepage.html? What's that? Okay, sorry. Yeah, so again, homepage.html, new page, none of these open first. The very first that opens is index.html. If you guys remember, when you actually create a new REPL, the first link that shows up is index.html, and that's the one that opens up first. Oh, a bit of it changing. Okay, what is the full form of CSS? So cascading sheets, cascading style sheets, crooked straight stuff, or cursive style stuff. Okay, nice. At least this one is the best question so far. Almost everybody got it. It is cascading style sheets. The other ones were just like wrong. Okay, halfway there. What is one of the best websites to use for HTML help? W3 Schools, YouTube, Google, or any of the above? Okay. Okay, so this one this was a small reading one. Yes, any of these websites work. W3 Schools has documentation, YouTube has tutorials, and Google, of course, will provide you other websites that have tutorials. So any of these websites actually work. Okay. When is the optional website assignment due? Is it due this Monday, next Monday, yesterday, or today?
Okay. This was like a listening question, huh? Not an actual technical question.
Yes. I will be slightly sad if I receive any more questions about when it is due. Okay, nice. So a lot of people know it is in fact due next Monday. It's not due this Monday, because this Monday is tomorrow, and we still have the CSS workshop that we'll have next week that you can use to improve your website with. Okay. 11. What is the first step to creating a solution? Is it understanding the problem, understanding the code, understanding the costs, or understanding the market? Remember, the first step. All of these are steps, but what is the first step? Okay, nice. It is understanding the problem. Only after you understand the problem can you figure out how you're going to code it, who you're going to market it to, or how much it's going to cost to implement. Okay, question 12. What is the highest on the Maslow hierarchy of human needs? Esteem needs, physical needs, self-actualization, or safety needs? Okay, yeah, it is self-actualization. Physical needs is actually the lowest, then it's safety needs, then it's esteem needs, and then self-actualization. Also, somebody in the chat asked about the project or the homework assignment. So if you guys are in the Discord and you go to resources, or you go to the homework assignment tab, or you go to announcements, all three of those have information about it. It's an optional assignment to create a website about you, based on the information that we went over in the last two workshops. If you choose to do it, you can submit it, and we'll pick the best website, and you get a gift card. But it is optional. You don't have to do it. You don't have to submit it. But it's highly recommended because it'll give you some experience of writing HTML code, and you'll feel like more confident about your own ability to like write the code. Okay. True or false? Ikagi states that balance in life leads to fulfillment and purpose. Okay, nice. Almost all of you guys got it. It is in fact true. Balance in life between, like, for example, what you want to do, what the world needs you to do, what you can do that will actually like pay, and what you're good at doing. Balance between all those things will help you reach fulfillment and purpose. And that's like what the principle of Ikagi states. Okay, true or false? Adding technology to an existing process is a way to come up with a new technological idea. Okay, nice. It is true. Basically, the thing with this is when it's the difference between innovation and invention. So if you're trying to create something new, it doesn't have to be completely new, right? Inventing something, right? For example, if you take something like self-driving cars, cars already exist, right? But what people did is they've used technology, which is image recognition and machine learning, and they've added that to a car to make it more efficient, to make it better. And that's now a new technological idea. So a lot of people, when they first start off, they think, how am I going to get started, right? And the thing is, you don't have to create something completely new. You can take something that exists and you can apply some existing technology to it to improve it, and you have a new idea, right? Another example of that is like Ring doorbells. Like if some of you guys might have seen them, like it's the doorbell that goes on the outside, like on your front door. And it has like a camera on it, right? So a doorbell is not something new. A camera is not something new, but putting them together is something new. And that company is now worth like millions of dollars. Okay, sorry, I'll turn my video off. Apparently my, the thing is lagging. Sorry about that if you guys missed the question because of lag. And then also just to clarify for the homework assignment, it can be anything that's related to you. So about you, about your family, about a hobby, etc. But it should be related to you. Okay, next question. A way to improve existing technology using new technology entails making it harder to use, making it more efficient, making it faster, or making it slower. Okay, nice. So it is either you make it more efficient or you make it faster. So making it faster is part of making it more efficient. Efficient is broader. Efficient means it's easier to use or it's faster. So either one of those is right. Of course, if you make it harder to use or slower, it wouldn't really be an improvement. Okay, next question. Okay, 2 questions left. What is the first step in the execution of a project? Coding it, designing it, running it, or implementing it? This is something we've discussed a lot as of now. I think we've mentioned it like multiple times. Yes, it is in fact designing it. Implementing it is the very last step. Coding it is part of implementing it, and running it is also part of implementing it. Before you implement anything, you need to have it designed and thought out. Okay, last question. What should be included in your project pitch? Is it the problem that's being solved, the business value of your project, parts of the project that are incomplete, or issues with your project? Okay, nice. Of course, you need to include the problem that's being solved in order to talk about your solution of it. And the business value of your project also helps because why else would people want to invest in it? Parts of the project that are incomplete should not be in your project pitch because then you're giving them faults with your own project, as well as issues with your project should not be in the pitch. Okay. We have Pranav in third place. Elliot in second place. And we have Tamara in first place. Nice. Good job, guys.
Great job. So
Okay. Yeah, so Ansh, you want to just give a closing note and what they should expect next week?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So congratulations, Tamara. You'll be winning a $10 Amazon gift card, and that'll be sent to your email soon. Okay. So next week we will be giving out more information about teams, but more importantly, like next week's workshops are extremely crucial because you will be meeting with your assigned team mentors as well, and kind of starting work with them. So definitely stay tuned for what's to come. I think most of you can leave now. However, I do want to go over one thing. If you haven't figured out how to change your nickname on Discord, I'll just very quickly show how you can do that. We need everybody to please nickname themselves to their actual first and last name. So if you haven't done that already, please go ahead and do that. So, okay, let me just go ahead and screen share very fast and just kind of show how we can go ahead and nickname ourselves. So in the Discord screen, go ahead and click this little StarHacks Equal opportunity up here. Actually, I'm on the right server, right? Yeah. Okay. So you click here, and then you just click change nickname, and you can change what name you have. So I can change it to Ansh Gupta. And so then when I say hi, then my name will actually come up as Ansh Gupta. So you can please go ahead and do this thing. Just click down up here and change your nickname. It doesn't take long. So just go ahead and do that so we can actually identify you by your real name. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, Ramiro, you had your hand raised.
It's okay if you have a name in a bracket. If you have a name beside your actual name, like you have a nickname, then you have a name beside it.
Wait, could anybody else hear that? I wasn't very. Could you please repeat that and a little bit louder, please?
It's okay if you have a nickname, then a name beside it, like how I actually have it.
I think he's asking, is it okay to have like your name and then a nickname beside it?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, put your full name, and then after that, you can in parentheses put like what you want people to call you.
Oh,
Okay, great. Thank you for asking.
Knuckle, you had a question?
Do we use our groups?
Ansh, are they choosing their groups? Ansh, you there? Oh, one sec. I think you can just, I think you did ask on the Discord. Ansh will probably get back to you on the Discord. But I believe you guys are choosing your groups.
So okay, so I'm gonna once again reiterate how team formation is gonna work. If you have okay, when you first filled out your form, you were given an option to kind of choose your teammates. If you have not filled it out there, then now what's gonna happen? So like if you didn't kind of state who your teammates were then now what's gonna happen is that we have a team of people who's gonna kind of be working on team formation, who will put you in a team based on both your skill level and also like time zones, and they'll consider a bunch of factors and kind of just put together teams, and those teams will be released next week. So yeah, Nakul, does that answer your question? I'm just gonna ask you to unmute if you want to ask something about team formation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. All right, great. All right, without further ado, if there are any other questions. Okay, it doesn't. Oh, actually, yeah, Daniel, there you go. Sorry, I didn't see your hand there.
Yeah, I just want to know, when are we gonna meet our teammates?
Yeah. So your teammates are going to be announced next week. And so next week it's going to be pretty big next week, because next week you're going to have your teammates announced. You're going to be told to join your teams on Discord, and then after that you're also going to be meeting your assigned team mentor, and so you're going to start work there. So so that'll all happen next week. This one was just kind of like, introducing you to coding, getting you started with our hackathon, things like that. Does that kind of make sense? Okay, great. Okay, if nobody has anything else, yeah, we can end the meeting. Thank you everybody so much for coming. Tomorrow, next week's gonna be even more imperative than it was this week. So yeah, goodbye. I hope you all have a great time, and make sure to work on your website.